Recording will start soon. And we are in. This is being recorded. Let's go ahead and jump into an overview of Lumio by Smart. So, guest presenter here today that I will introduce in a moment formally to give us a demonstration, and it will be a very quick demonstration of what the cloud-based version of Smart product has become. So that's Lumio. Janet will explain all of the features that she can get to in 30 minutes. Talk about importing files and those things. Like I say, though, it is a big software. So just if you want to go ahead and jump to the next slide there, Janet. So specifically today, we're talking about software. I know there has been some angst created and people are concerned about hardware. Just know that we have your backs. We are looking at interactive options and all of those things, and recognize that Lumio definitely plays very nicely on an interactive at the front of the room, as well as the notebook software. And the notebook software is connected to the Lumio licensing, and Lumio is what Smart is really promoting as the newer, cooler way to get kids more engaged. So it provides that opportunity for them to join on their own devices, which is what we find really exciting about the new Smart software. So it was Smart Learning Suite Online. I know some people were into that before. This is it now, Lumio. We can jump to the next slide. Just really quick review. We had a ceremony for this once upon a time, if you were with us, and really tried to put Flash to rest. Adobe didn't cooperate. Flash just kept sticking around also. But at the end of the day, it's software developers who have made these decisions for us. Things, were removed. So there's certain things in those old notebook files that don't work. And at this point, we really need to put those things to rest. We are looking at Lumio licensing for people who want it, which could possibly have notebook installation also, but just keeping in mind that some of those older things that people are attached to, there will have to be some new avenues. And I think Janet will be able to show you some of those new things today. But like I say, I hope you will have some time. Everyone has that licensing now. So hopefully between now and the end of the year, you have a chance to jump in yourself and just check out what's specific to you and your class and what might work. And then make that decision on if you want to continue to use this next year and have a license. Moving right along. So just really quick, we are already 2.5 minutes into item number 1. Welcome and intro, and there's just a few slides to sort of overview the Lumio features. We'll share the links, and I actually have it in the slides also, so I'll make sure that people have access to that. And so that's just sort of that more visual piece, and there's some links in there to some helpful things as you're making your Lumio journey also. Then we will oh, sorry, Janet.
sorry.
I was still talking on that one. So then we've got a quick activity. So shortly after I introduce Janet, we will give you guys a chance to jump into this Lumio as a student if you choose. It would be really great if you can on another screen or device, depending on what your setup is right now, join us and do the activities along with us also. So we will learn by using, and you guys can have a chance to interact as students. And then throughout the 30-minute demo, there may be opportunities for that also. And then we will wrap that up for the 3:15 time that's promised. But if there are some of you who want to stick around and ask a few questions about some of the Lumio features and things and pick Janet's brain for a moment, we're happy to do that too. All right. I've got a minute. So I'm really, really excited to invite or to introduce my friend Janet Bell. If you were here just a few minutes early, and I know lots of you were, Janet and I have been working together for a couple of years on the ATLE Convergence Conference. I've looked up to her for some time as EPSB Tips team member. So Janet was she doesn't like it when I say she was a pioneer, because she feels like there's people certainly that she was following in their footsteps also, but somebody I've looked up to in what I do, and inspired me a whole lot with my work with WRPS. She is currently retired, which is a very loose term because she's a super busy lady, contracting with ERLC and ATLE, as well as doing some private consulting on her own. She's a Google trainer, smart trader, and innovator. She enjoys 4 generations of family. And again, if you were here a little bit earlier, you heard she wants a dog. Me and my little pup have inspired her. So welcome, Janet. I'm really excited to have you here to share with our teachers some of the really exciting things about Lumio. Just one segue before we leap in, I have been myself importing and testing some notebook files into Lumio, and they have all been coming in well. So if that sets some minds at ease before Janet starts, I hope it will. With that, I will hand it over.
Okay. Thank you, Angela. Actually, Angela, would you like to talk about this slide too? Because this was your slide too.
Oh, this was when I'm actually not even going to read through all of these. This is kind of goes back to review stuff too. So some of you have probably seen some of this information before. Just looking at what Lumio has to offer beyond what we're used to using. There's the amazing interactive features. If you saw those before, there's more than twice as many of them as when you saw those previously. I was most impressed recently when I went in the gallery. They don't call it the Smart Exchange anymore. It's called Explore. So if you're already exploring in Lumio, that Explore button on the homepage opens up what teachers have been creating and sharing, as well as what the smart technologies people have been creating and sharing. So there's some really great stuff in there. Just one real clear example was the first time I ever went looking for some type of interactive calendar. I didn't really find anything in there. And today there's pages of them. And actually there's even a calendar widget for building calendars within Lumio. So that's where it's come a long ways. Janet's going to show you that Google Drive integration, which is very handy. And then, of course, with Google Drive integration and it being cloud-based, it's available anywhere, anytime, any device, teacher and student-paced lessons. So I referred to that before, that we really love that kids can actually get their hands on these notebook lessons. And you can do that as sort of a group teacher-paced thing. And you can also do it as like individual student handouts that they can work through at their own pace. So just some really cool features that we're excited to show you guys.
Okay, well, what I thought I would do, as you probably figured from what Angela was saying earlier, Lumio it's actually probably one of my favorite tools. And so any chance I have to kind of show it off to people, I'm like, yes, pick me. I would like to play with Lumio with you. But at the same time, like when I do it, I want you to know, like in terms of your role in all this, is that we are all here as adult learners together. And so because within the room itself, we'll have people all the way from probably kindergarten up to grade 12. Sorry, let's move my chat there. And because we have all different subject areas, if there's something that I mentioned that kind of opens a bit of a rabbit hole for you to just kind of go deep down and start exploring, just do that, because I don't want everybody to get exactly the same out of the session. I want you to get whatever works best for you out of the session. So feel free to do that. And the other piece is just the more you're able to kind of play along and kind of be a sample student in the class, then we're able to demonstrate, like through my screen sharing, what actually happens when people are using these different features. So that's really, really helpful for me if you could play along. And I know if you're in a room with other people, it may be if only the person at the front of the room is online, well then like they can play along and the rest of you can tell them what to put or whatever. So is that all kind of sound okay to you? Thumbs up in the chat or for real? Perfect. Thanks, you guys. Okay, so if I wanted to open a file in Lumio, there are two places, actually, well, at least 2 places I could go to do that. So you can see this is my drive, and I'm just in my recent files here. And so these are the files that I've kind of been in like today and yesterday. And you can see here, I have this little Firefly is the Lumio Firefly, and this is our Lumio overview file. It's SLS. That's because they were called Smart Learning Suite before they rebranded. So all I would have to do is right click on that and say open with, and it's already associated with the app. So that's something that happens at the district level. They do that little handshake between Google and Smart, and because Smart is a partner of Google's. And so you would just, it would automatically be able to open it like that. And when you create a new file in Lumio, you would do the same thing. You can go new, more, and then down to Lumio by Smart. Or you can even go up to your waffle up in the top, and you can go down and it should be sitting in there somewhere too, right there. So anyway, I love the Google Drive integration. It also means that your kids can work asynchronously on your files if you post them in Google Classroom, and you'll be able to see what they're doing with them. But that's a whole other part of the presentation. So I've already opened this one, so I thought I would just leave it there. And what I'd like you to do is, as we get started, is if you could play along and be a student, I would super appreciate it. And so we have this on the slide here, but as I demonstrate kind of the meta level of what I'm doing, and Angela's placed in the chat, the hellosmart.com and 132469 is your class ID. And let's say that I am you, as you're the teacher, and you're telling your students, you can click on that little student button here, and I can click on my class ID here, and it displays it. So let's say we're online, I could do that. Or even if we're in class and the kids have the Chromebooks today, and we're in class in person, I would say, okay, guys, let's go to my class. Now, when you go there now, join as a guest, so that then you'll just put in your name and then you can be here as a guest. But when you're in with your students, if your students are on a Chromebook, the first time they go in, they will connect their Google account with Smart. And so when they enter, you will see all of their names pulled from their Google account. So you'll know who those students are in your class. And that it is because of that connection between Google and Smart that when you assign it later on in Google Classroom, like it knows who each person is, which is pretty cool. But we're just joining as a guest. We'll just see it like that. So I can then go in here and I can see that we have 21 people, thank you so much, who have joined the class so far. Look at all those people there. Most of them are guests. And so I know these people have joined the class. And so Angela's got that in the chat. I'm going to keep going. And I see we've got some more people coming in. So that's great. So what you'll see when you join, and I'm just going to click in here again. Up at the top, as your names are coming in down the side there, I have lesson pacing, can be teacher or can be student. So if I click it over to student, you'll see a little message come up on your side saying that your teacher has changed it to student pacing. So now you can go to any slide you want. I'm going to turn it back to teacher, so you have like 2 seconds to look at the entire presentation before I wrench it away. But I'd like you to be on this page, so I'm going to turn it back to teacher pacing. So on this page, I would like to see how can we customize today's Lumio experience to best fit you. So I'm going to set this up as a group collaborative activity. So everything that I do, I'm trying to model something that you would do with your students. So I'm trying to personalize this for you, but you might be asking your students, you know, what group would you like to sign up for this activity in language arts or whatever, right? So I could put you in teams. I'd like everybody on one team. And for those of you who are smart notebook people, you will like this. One of the things you can do in Lumio, exactly like in Smart Notebook, is there is an infinite cloner. I love the infinite cloner. I like to use it. So I'm not even touching my screen and I see this little firefly buzzing around the screen. So what I'd like you to do is to put your cursor on top of that little firefly and look at all these possible things that we can do with Lumio, and just move the Firefly over to where you would like us to focus some of our conversation today. I just realized, when the teacher doesn't think of all options, it's like, if everything's covered, I won't know what they've chosen. So anyway, I see lots of votes for game-based activities. One of the things with Smart Lumio is, I think, especially in the early days, and Smart in general, not just Lumio, maybe even more with Notebook, way back in the day when I used to do Notebook sessions, is that do you remember all of that clip art in Notebook? There was all of this like Goldilocks and the Three Bears and all of that stuff, right? It was all very like fairy tale, elementary, use your coins, use your this. And so, as you saw, my background is as a high school English teacher. And when I was technology lead at Lillian Osborne High School here in Edmonton, we opened in 2009, and that was right when all of those smart boards were being put into all of the schools. And so that was a big part of my job, was supporting people using it. And so we would have, those of us in the humanities, English, social, we kind of jumped on board those smart boards right away. But some of our other teachers, they were like, is this really the right tool for me? It looks sort of childish. And then what happened with them is they discovered Sentios, right? Do you remember those? And so they would be able to do that assessment and to be able to shape instruction depending on the feedback of the assessment. That was the real kind of, I think, eye-opener for them. And it's pretty exciting that they have the modern version of Sentios is Smart Response, which is built right into Lumio itself. And I see, look at all those fireflies. Oh my goodness, it's like a sky. So lots over the assessment pieces as well. It's still moving around. Well, game space and manipulative stuff seem to have the bulk, but we will dip into a whole bunch of these different things together for sure. Thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to keep going. So I've demonstrated already for you a couple of things in Lumio. I've shown you how to open a file. I've shown you where you would actually go if you were going to create a file right from your drive. And I've also demonstrated what they call a collaborative workspace, which is what we did just now. And so there are a couple of screenshots on this page of this one that says, how are you feeling today? This is, Angela had mentioned that the Smart Exchange is now, you just go to this little button that says Explore Resources. And within there, one of the things the Lumio team has been working on, like at Smart, is because there's such a focus these days in social emotional learning, they've put together all kinds of emotional literacy resources and various templates to start your classes. And so this is just a screenshot of one of those templates that they have. And this one you could use at, pretty much any grade level. So how are you feeling today? And then they would just move that little target thing to how they're feeling today, just as that classroom check-in. And so that's one example of a collaborative workspace. And then this example is one of mine. So back, I think maybe in December-ish, I did a presentation somewhere where we were looking at digital literacy and what does digital literacy look like. And as part of that session, we looked at the whole idea of smartphones and, is smartphone use at the root of our digital discontent? And so what I want to share with you is kind of the instructional strategy that I was using and how Lumio helped me pull that together. So the first thing I did is I took, you can see this my page background, like I just had a Google slide, and this is a background from Slides Mania. And then I added a picture of a monster or a devil and a picture of a unicorn, right? So there's my clip art on my page. And then I added a picture of a smartphone. And then all I had was a question at the very top. And so then what I asked people to do is I took that slide, I opened it in Lumio, and then I could add my interactivity. So what I did is I took a screenshot of a smartphone, plunked it down in the middle here on top of that other smartphone, and I made it an infinite cloner. So then I asked everybody in the session to kind of look at this like a scale. Are smartphones like amazing unicorns, or are they devilish creatures? And so then they populated where their views were. And then from a constructivist teaching perspective, it was like, okay, here's our map. Let's take it one step further. Justify your opinion. So then they had to go to the right-hand side of their page and click on the little, little letter A like that. And then they could, write, they could annotate right on top of that page themselves, right? And they could put their opinion in there as well. So take that strategy, apply it to what you teach. Where would you want to use some kind of like a number line? Do you feel this way, or do you feel this way? Is this a conifer? Is it a deciduous? Is this a totalitarianism? Is this democracy? Is it like whatever kind of this or that you want your people to have an opinion on, have them make an infinite cloner, put it on there, and then ask, then we're not done at that. Then you have to justify your opinion. I didn't want to have you justify your opinion in here. That would have been crazy. But in one like this, you would do that. So that's the kind of the pedagogy of it all. And I wanted to really stress that, because it's one thing to have a tool that's engaging for students, but that's great. Like we want them to, it's how are we going to achieve those instructional goals? And so that's a big part of it. So I kind of went on for a bit about that. I hope I'm not going too slowly, but I wanted to kind of make that one clear. So this example that I'm going to show you now, and this is actually the one I think that had the least number of fireflies on it, but I am going to show it to you just because I know there's a type of teacher that that is like, okay, I need to check for understanding and I need to use a worksheet, right? And so we all know those people, and we all needed to be really supportive of those people when COVID happened, because suddenly it was harder to do things with paper and they were moving online, and there were so many pieces to that. And then, of course, I looked in my drive. I couldn't find a worksheet, but I found a document of like tips at the beginning of the year. So you may or may not find it interesting. But what I did is, so if you can just pretend that this one is a worksheet, what I've done is I've created what's called an individual handout. So instead of the collaborative workspace where we can be all together or in teams, this is just a single individual. And what you can see on my screen is that as each of you opens the document, your name will pop up in my window. So as a teacher, I know who's clicked on it because I can see those names popping up here. And then as the teacher, and just think of this doesn't have to be online. This can be within the class, right? So even like you don't have to have an interactive classroom display to show it. It's just showing on whatever your display is. Could be projector, could be anything. So imagine your kids on their Chromebooks clicking into the assignment. You could be walking around the room saying, come on, Jared, whatever. You would click on your teacher handout, and so then they would see the activity. So this is just a PDF. It's 3 pages long. It's so now I've like lost it, right? So this is your back to school ed tech tips. Sorry about that. I kind of wrenched it away. And so, but what I'd like you to do is just pretend it's a worksheet. And then maybe what you could do is just click into the little letter A so that you have a text box. And then you can just, type your name at the top, or just put some text at the top. And then you can pretend it's a worksheet. And then, you could sort of move it where you would have it as the answer of that worksheet. Now, if you're in kindergarten or grade 1, your students, this all works on an iPad as well, if you have iPads. And then what they can do, of course, is they can just click on the little pencil and they can choose their color. And then they can just, I don't have a touchpad on this computer, so Janet. So they can draw right on their iPad or on Chrome tablets, absolutely. And they would be able to do their writing right on here. And I was in a session once with this person this teacher who was asking, because what she had been doing, and a number of us had been doing this when working with other teachers, is getting a screenshot of a PDF and then pasting it into a Google slide, and then people would answer on the Google slide. And she said, well, the challenge with that is that it gets really hard to read what's actually on the document. It gets all kind of blurry. And so you'll see from this how it keeps the resolution. It's really clear. And if I zoom in down at the bottom here, like, it's really clear, no matter how you look at it. So it keeps the integrity of that document. And because that's a, portrait shaped document as opposed to a slide, like, it'll just shift to whatever it is. So if my next slide was this way, it adapts. So that's the beauty of this compiling different documents together. It's like right now it's working like this. So I hope you've had a chance to write something, scribble something. You could try adding an image. I'll just write an image of firefly. See what comes up. Oh, they don't look nearly as nice as a Lumio firefly. Ugh. I don't think I'm going to do something. We'll just do the sun. There you go. So you can add an image. So you can play with the different things that you can do in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look. So if I'm the teacher and you're the student, so I'll just come back here. And so now I can click in on different people and see what you've come up with. And so kind of a classroom management piece of this is, if you look at my screen, you can see the people who've clicked that they've handed it in. And so I know, as a nice person, that it's probably better for me to show work of somebody who's just handed it in than to show the work of somebody who hasn't handed it in yet, because either they're still doing it or they haven't started yet, right? So I'm going to click in and see what Peggy's done. And so I can just click in here and I can say, okay, that's what she's done. And I can use these little arrows. I can click back and forth to other people. And so if you assign an assignment to your students in Lumio, and maybe you're giving them 10 minutes to work on it in class, but they have to finish it at home, and then you post it in Google Classroom, that student will go back in and it will open up their version of the document and they can keep working on it. So I think that's really cool, because then as a teacher, you just see the documents within here. You would just mark it by going through here to see all of the different documents. So any questions so far? I've been going pretty quickly through that. I have these. Yes, Nicole.
I was playing or trying to play with the reading.
Good. Yes.
Thing. Now it will read what I typed. Can you get it to read what's already in the document?
Yes, let's talk about that. And that's probably a good time. So let me see if I can find, is yours in here? Or are you on one of those rabbit holes that I said you go? Oh, here you are. Okay, so let's say you wanted to read what was in the document. Immersive Reader, this is the new, like since Christmas, Immersive Reader has been integrated with Smart Notebook, listen to that, with Lumio. And so, but here's the thing, is it will read anything that was created within Smart. So if you are bringing in a Google slide or a Google Doc, which is what this is, or a PDF, it will not be reading that text. It will read what's added in Smart. But so to show you how to do that, like even here, if I go to, so I'm going to be giving you some feedback on your work, and I'll say, that is a lovely photo, makes me think of summer. Okay, so now I've written something here. And so if I click on immersive reader, and same for Nicole, yes, and she's doing it with, so as soon as I click on immersive reader, see how both what she wrote and what I wrote has highlighted. So I know these are the parts that immersive reader will work on. So I can click on hers, immersive reader, and it opens up a whole other like window of immersive reader. And then I don't know how familiar you guys are with immersive reader. It's like read and write for Google in terms of some of the things that it can do. So I can change my text size. Maybe I teach younger kids and I want it like this, and I want it Comic Sans, and let's see what else I have. I can choose. Maybe I want a picture dictionary. And so now at the bottom, I can play it.
Really cool.
I can slow it down too in the voice speed. Yes, please, turtle.
This is really cool.
Like that. Yeah. So I think it's fine that it works with just the things that you add in Smart, because think of the psychology. You're going to take your original files, unless you want to make it all in Smart. Take your original files, be it Smart Notebook, Google Docs, Slides, whatever, jigsaw them together in the order you want them to be, and then add your interactivity. And so part of that might be you're going to have those instructions pasted so they can hear the instructions because they can't read them yet, right? So thank you for that question, because that covered off, I think, an important piece. Any other questions before I keep going here? I just had to put the whole thing in. Oh, look at that. Try as I have a number of slides that say try as a student and as a teacher, because I want to make sure that I give you the teacher experience as well as the student. So point being here that yes, you can annotate, which you've seen me do anyway, I think. And you can choose any color, like they have a color wheel. So if I wanted it to be like white or whatever color that is, hard to see. But also I have a screenshot here to show that immersive reader. So you actually asked it at the perfect time too. So I'm going to show you just the different parts of the Lumio display. So you have a sense of the architecture of the page. Does that sound like a plan? And then what I'm going to have you do at the same time is have you, and I'm going to come back to Stacy's question in a sec, is on this page, I'm kind of like jumping the gun on something here. This is actually one of the interactives that they have, but that's right, Stacy. So to answer Stacy's question is that the menu you see, and same for the teacher, in the student and teacher see, is contextual to whatever it is at that particular time. So it'll change depending where you are. So this page is labeled the Lumio interface. So if I click start, I have a picture of the Lumio interface and I can click on these little buttons. So up here, it says students, right? So I can click on there and I can click in plus, and it's my class ID that I showed you. There's a list of all their names. I can toggle if it's teacher or student led, and we talked about that already. So that's that one. And then all of these are little arrows that I've added here, and it tells you what these things are. So what you can do, so I'm trying to appeal to the kinesthetic learners in the room. And so I'm going to show you, like for real, not just the picture, what these things are. And then as I'm doing it, you can kind of like rehearse it in here too. Does that make sense? So, and then I'll show you where you get these. So in the top, we've already talked about the student one, but in the very top, start that again, there's that little hamburger. So if I click in here, I can end my lesson. I can edit my lesson. I can share my lesson, which I will do. I can make a copy. And then this takes me to training, to help, request a feature, or report an issue or sign out. So that's what that is. And then in the student one, what's cool, now that will not work on this page. What's cool in the student, thinking is not, I'm just going to go to another page. I know this is going to, you know what I'll do is I'll turn this to student view. So if you're clicking on there, you can now keep doing that, but I'm going to go back a page. So if I have a page, just a regular page like this, I can click on my students, and then underneath this page, whereas where I just was, it just said this is an interactive activity, right? But it says this page is view only on student devices. You can convert this page into an activity. And so if before my lesson, I had meant to convert a page to one of those collaborative activities or individual activities, but I'd forgotten, this happens, I can just do it on the fly like this. So if I wanted you to be able to all like add little pictures to here, I could just say collaborative workspace activity, and I want everybody on one team again. And it's that easy to make it even on the fly. So now if I take this back to teacher view, you're going to be put back onto this page. And you can scribble on it, you can put pictures on it, you can write on it, you can do whatever you want. So just like that, go for it. So really quick to make those changes. And what I should probably do as well, while we're kind of going down that rabbit hole, is I'll show you the edit side of it, so you can see where you actually make real like changes and edit your file. So if I click on my hamburger, yeah, you just make it fly. So I'm going to close my hamburger. I'm going to edit lesson here. And now I think your screen might stop working for you. And so when I have this blue interface, I know that I'm in edit mode. And so what I can do in here, so Angela and I had put together a slides presentation that she's going to share with you. And then so first thing I did is I imported my slides presentation, and then I added interactivity. So I went to this slide and I made it that collaborative workspace. So I'm just going to take, say, this slide. So if I wanted you to be able to edit this slide here, it's this in the top corner, there's a little magic wand. And if I click on here, I can make it that individual activity or a collaborative workspace. So let's say it's an individual activity. Now it's just a handout and they can write on it or whatever. That's what it's going to look like. So I'll just close that up. The other thing you can do, and I hope this isn't too random for you, as I just show you this interface here. I don't want it to be that edited. When I click on any of these slides in this edit interface, I can make it a collaborative individual activity. I can click here and add text. So now this is the text of my Google slide, but I can add text here. So now that's text that you would be able to listen to with Immersive Reader. Or I can add audio, which is a whole other thing. So I can click here and start recording. Let's get started. This is where you have to go to join Lumio as a student. Pause to review. I can listen to it, and then I can add it. And so what it's done is it's placed this little button up at the top. So if I go finished editing, and I'm going to pull you back to this page, teacher, yep. So you will now see on your page that there is now this little play button. So if you're teaching students who are English language learners or younger students, and they need to hear your instructions again and again and again and again, this will let them do that. So it's so slick. It's so easy. Okay, let's go back to that edit side again. And I'm just going to look at Nolana's comment. My colleagues will graciously help me transfer my current mode. Perfect. Oh my goodness, it's so easy. But should I still be creating files as a Smart Notebook, or should I start building in Lumio? That's a good question. I'm just going to flip. I know it's a bit of a digression, but I know everybody probably has the same question. So if I wanted to upload anything, I would just go new file upload, and maybe they're all sitting in a folder, right? Maybe all my notebook files are sitting in a folder. Then I would go file, new folder upload, and I could have a folder that's full of all my notebook files, and then I would just click on my folder like that, and click, I have no idea what that is, then click upload. And it would just upload all those notebook files at once. And then those notebook files, I'm not sure what I have in here. I thought they were called notebook. Maybe they're not called notebook. Maybe it's, yeah, notebook. I have too many accounts. Oh yeah, these are all notebook ones. So here's like ELA notebook. So all you would do is click on your file, just like before, right click, open with, I have no idea what this file is. Lumio by Smart. And so what it's done is it's opening the file, my notebook file in Lumio. And not only that, whatever is your most current file that you're displaying is what's going to show on your student screens. So you're going to see as a student that suddenly you're going to be pulled out of our nice file and put into what is probably a pretty junky file. But you'll kind of see and it'll open up in that edit interface.
Depending how big they are, they do take time. I know the one math one I did yesterday took a few minutes to do this importing process. Would you show how you import that, like from a new activity? So, you know, with like right there on the add activities.
Yes, let's do that. So I'm going to show you how to get here. So I'm just going to close that. Leave site. Gosh, it's 3:11. Oh gosh, we missed all the games.
Crazy, hey?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. So if I'm going to go new file, new, more, oh dear, Lumio by Smart. So that will take me to kind of through my Google Drive door into Lumio. So if I want to do a new activity, I will say add activity. And if I'm inside that edit slide and I want to bring in another slide from a different slideshow or another notebook page or whatever, I would do that and it would bring up the same interface. So now I can say import resource and I could bring in some slides from my Google Slides. So Google Slides, let's say Lumio and see what comes up. So I just want to find one that I know isn't very long because a lot of these are really long. Okay, annotation test. This one is, this is a PDF. But okay, so I would bring in a slide. I would just click on here and then, or the PDF or the doc or whatever. And then what it does is it imports the pages as thumbnails. And then you choose which pages you want. The default is it selected all of them. So then that would be your base file. And then you would add your interactivity on top. But you can also just choose, maybe there's only one page. So this has 6 pages in it. Maybe I only want like one page. So I can like select all, select none, or whatever. So that's where I got this page from, right? So let's do this resources page because it'll give you another resources page. Okay, so this is an example. So I've new activity. I've just brought in this one page and now I can go in there and I can add those things that I talked about or text or images. And down here, I can just keep adding stuff. So maybe I want to add something else from my drive, another presentation. Maybe I want to go and search that content that that Angela was talking about, like for a calendar. I would do that in here. I can add like a brand new page. They have all of, that's where I got these ones. So they have all of these templates that you can just choose. So yep, I want to bring in all these pages like that. Boom. They've already created it for me. I can add a YouTube video and it'll make it nice and big and clear on the entire page with no ads. I can integrate Desmos or PhET simulations if I'm like looking for those math science interactive supports. All of these things are just fully integrated with Smart Notebook. And I don't know how to use them, so I will leave them for you to try. So that's how you bring something in from another type of document. I'm just going to get out of here and go back to this one, and then hopefully you can get in. And we have like 1 minute, so I'm going to think, what is my favorite thing to show you? And if you have questions, please start putting them in the chat because I can stay as long as you like. So as I scroll through my slide sorter, you were looking at the Lumio interface here. This is a list, a screenshot of all their games and my favorites. So my favorites are Label Reveal, which you were just playing with, Match 'em Up, Monster Quiz, Rank Order, and Super Sort. And to demonstrate them within this presentation, I'm getting mixed up with all these presentations here. You'll see they were all on that page as well as in my drive. I can flip down. And so here is an example of a rank order. And so with the names of some of the other games. So a flip out is like flipping cards over. A Teams quiz and a Monster Quiz are really interactive, like amazing. I would love to play with one with you if we have more time or another day. Game show, like, so these are also, the idea is that this whole is an example of a rank order. It doesn't record their results for you. It's formative assessment, but you can use it to gauge their interest on a topic, just like I was doing with that other collaborative activity before we got going. There are games elements you can add that are built right in. So there's a timer, randomizer, and buzzers. As we go, my other favorite is the super sort. Oh, and that's a super sort. So to show you, so if you click into that super sort, you can turn on music. And so games input can be outputted to a spreadsheet. Actually, it can't. It does integrate with Google Classroom. Yes, it does. So feel free to move these over on yours as well. Students can create the games. They actually can't. The response input is all spreadsheet ready. It goes into Excel. You can pull it up into Google Sheets and track their results over time. You can add audio. An individual workspace can be accessed. Oh, it says can't. Yeah, it can. So that is false that it can't. Google integration means it saves in Drive only. Well, no, it's in Classroom too. So that's false. Shout it out is the only tool where they can collab on the same page. Well, no, because collaborative workspaces, they can too. So that's an example of a super sort. It's 3:17. Like, can I show them how to make one? What do you guys want to do? I know this is hard for your time.
I think if you want to keep showing stuff and people want to stay, certainly continue ahead. If people need to run and have to go, your week is done and you've worked hard, that's fine too. And you
Yes.
can always catch the recording because that's still going.
Okay, that's perfect. Yes. So if you have to run, you have to go pick up your kids or whatever, do what you need to do. I totally get it. And thank you so much for coming. And how about I show you how to make a super sort? The reason super sort is my favorite is because I'm thinking I'll just go to the edit and just add another one in there. Is because it's like that other one where you've got is it this or is it this? Super sort is kind of the same idea. You're sorting things into two categories. We do that in all grade levels in all kinds of ways, right? Is it an adjective? Is it an adverb? Is it, red? Is it blue? Is it, And so in this particular one here, this was one that was just made on the fly. So is it hot or is it cold? So a candle is cold. It spits it back. So if you're a Smart Notebook fan who loved the vortex sort, which I think is like 99.9% of us, this is what we have instead. And you can have pictures and you can have words and it'll go into the right one. So to edit it or create a new one, all I'm going to do is close that up. So let's say I want to edit it. So edit activity. This is what it looks like. It's just a list. I just say, this is hot, this is cold, and then next. And it's like, I would like it to be a jungle island instead of that alien place. And so if you're having students sort things, and then you want them to do it again the next day and have a different look to it, then it's that quick to change it. And if I wanted to do it totally from scratch, I'll go plus. So I'm going to add, and it's going to be a game-based activity. There's all those ones. Oh, this is a good thing to know. Let's say I want to add a super sort, but I can't remember if it's called a super sort or a match 'em up, because those two get confused all the time. All you have to do is click this little hat thing, looks like a mortarboard. And if you click on it, like hands off, it automatically gives you a demonstration of this is what that is. So actually, no, I don't want to match things in pairs. That's not what I want to do. There's that label reveal that you did. It shows you what it does. There's a word sort, there's all kinds of things. So super sort, yes, that's what I want to do. So I'll select the activity. And so I can just say, this is about the north. And this is about the south. And then all I do is just add. Can I spell Wetaskiwin? Is that right? Wetaskiwin, my hometown, Drayton Valley. And then south, Phoenix. And Antarctica and Brazil. And then I can just choose there's that, the Pirates is really good. And that's how quickly you make a super sort and can shift so Brazil, north. And and there's, when you switch the music on or the sound effects. It sounds very like Pirates of the Caribbean. So they're fantastic little games. And if you're a high school teacher, it really depends on the relationship you have with your kids, right? Like there are students in high school who would be all over this stuff. And then there would be other students in high school who would be like, are you treating me like a little kid? So you would choose which of the features you are going to use with your students. I'm just going to check these questions here. Will my notebook files in Drive all open with Lumio? Will it look the same? Those are good questions. Do I need to save them again as Lumio, or can I leave it in my Drive as a notebook file? When you open that notebook file in Drive, like we just opened, or we actually didn't finish opening it, but when you take any slideshow and you open it in Lumio, it will automatically put the Lumio version of that file with a little firefly back into your Google Drive for you. So it will do that conversion for you and put the new file there. You do nothing, it just appears. And as Angela said, like some of the elements don't work. I remember being quite disappointed early on, and they still haven't got this going, where I was working with some pre-K teachers and we had built a notebook file where we had like pictures of like an apple and an orange and a peach. And then I recorded the audio. So apple, orange, right, for each. And then I brought that notebook file into Lumio, and the audio was just lost. So there is a little bit of tweaking you have to do. So if you had that file, what I would do is I would have each one on a separate page, and then I would add that audio by clicking that audio recording in the top. So there's like a workaround, but it's not perfect. What I love about it, and I know people who still make all their files in Notebook for this reason. I'm a Google Drive person. I bring in from Drive and add. That's how I go. But people who are working in Notebook, part of the value for them is that it keeps all the layers in place. So if you're using Notebook where you're, moving your calendar, your pieces over from here to here, and you're dragging things across your page, all of that, when it comes in from Notebook, all of that is in slides. It flattens it all, as you saw, but in Notebook, it keeps it all. So if you want to do like move and reveal to, what is the answer? Let's move the square. All of that stuff will still work. And so they will still keep building in there too, and then move it over. So it kind of depends on your style of how you would do it. I'm a big fan of taking little screenshots of things and making infinite cloners, because that works like in both places. But that's just me.
I really like to use Canva to make stuff for Lumio too.
You know what? That's a good point. I saw a post on Twitter it might even have been yesterday. It was within the last 2 days. where someone had been making a whole lot of images with transparent backgrounds in Canva, and they were using that for the Lumio files. It was like really effective. So I need to go try that too. Yeah.
That's mine, the transparent icons. I like them. We're 3:25. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Sure.
Does anybody have any further questions?
We didn't talk about the smart response, and I'm just wondering, because it's such a good way to monitor student growth over time. They can, why don't we just show them where the resources are? Because then you can keep going on your own.
And then the key difference between the smart response and all those game-based activities, I think you quickly referenced, Janet, is that you actually can export those results out, right? So you have the
Yes.
students complete those response activities. So it's not exciting and game-based with monsters and all that, but it's legit questions that the kids can answer, and then you can retain their answers after the fact.
And it marks it all for you, right? So that's anything that's a time saver. So on this resources page, this link here, I'll just, whoa, it's going there. This takes you to a survey. This takes you to training and video. So they have so much there that you can just use, like their training and videos. What's new videos? That's the new stuff like Immersive Reader and the FET stuff. This is like how you import and combine your files, how you add the YouTube, new pages, graphic organizers we didn't get to, and same with manipulatives, but there are videos and they're all, you can see, really short. It's like 1 minute and 35 seconds. Tons and tons of videos, really pertinent and short. There's also a teacher guide, which is right here. And so again, tips for using this guide, and it takes you sign in and set up Lumio, get your students signed in, import if it's every tiny baby step of the way, make a page, a handout activity, do instructional audio. We've actually done a ton of this stuff in our time together today. The one thing we haven't done that I would love to end with is just that shout it out. Let's do it, hey?
That'll be a perfect way to end.
Okay, so what I made is a shout it out. You can make them on the fly, or you can make them on that edit side. And if you make it on the fly, you would just click in this little plus sign and say shout it out. But what I want to do is ask you, what do you want to do next? So what would you like to try after our session? What's your commit to try? Let's answer in a shout it out. So I'll click start for class. And so what you get on your device is that little like box where you have to answer the question. And as you answer the question there and submit, I could choose on my side if I wanted to show your name or not. And I'm pretty sure I toggled it so it doesn't show your name, just so you know. But what are the things that you would like to try after our session today? And this is a super fun tool to use with any age, like with adults in a staff meeting, right? Like with any age. And as people respond, they're not able to move things around like in that collaborative workspace, but you are. And so what I like about doing this in class, like in a room together, is as people are adding to this, I would then say, okay, I need a couple of volunteers like you and you come up to the front of the room, and then have them like on the smart board, if you have like an interactive smart board, to like take the things that are the same and move them together. So I see, maybe I'll kind of move these as like they're more older. Got some junior high. Here's someone who's just, I don't know what grade they are. That's okay. So as things come in, you can move them around. And if somebody writes something that's inappropriate, two things. One, if you want to showcase something, you just click on it and it makes it big. Actually, that's funny because they have a typo. Same grade, same grade. But let's say if it was something that was in, now I can't click out of it to make it go away. There we go. So if it wasn't appropriate, I would go to the trash can, let go, and it asks me, because I don't want to mistakenly trash the wrong one. Yes, still works with saying exactly. Do I want to delete it? Well, actually, I don't. I don't want to delete it. But that's what you would do if that were to happen. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to add more in there. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. I hope you can delve into those games some more. They're so easy. Just look at those little previews, and that's awesome. And then if I wanted to share my file, which I can do, so I can go end lesson. This is share. So if I wanted to give a copy to other teachers, so you get the teacher view of it, this is the link I would share. So that will, you'll see on your side, it will open in a preview window, and then you can add it to your Lumio collection. Or if I wanted students to do it and work at their own pace, I could just share it in Classroom, or I could share this link with them. I gave you the teacher link, so you can dig behind.
Awesome.
Thanks so much. Yeah, go play. That's the next step.
That was awesome. And look, we thought 45 minutes was going to fly by, and a whole hour flew by, and we've still got people hanging
We'll see.
in.
We've got 12 people left. Good for you, sticking in there.
Yeah, that's great. I am going to stop the recording now.